trying to apply logic to an animal that at times is bereft of logic. It's always challenging, but with challenges come opportunities.
This is The Producers. I'm Anthony Huckstep. After seeing the benefits of a few lamb on the vineyard to eat the weeds amongst the vines, Brent Old realised an opportunity. He set about finding the right breed of lamb and the means to farm organic Dorper lambs amongst the vines. And it's captured the imagination of not only the local food-loving community, but chefs and butchers too.
So we're spread across 3 farms on the outskirts of Orange in New South Wales, sort of 3 to 3.5 hours out of Sydney. At a range of elevations, our highest farm's sort of 1,000 metres above sea level, and we sort of dip down to sort of 750 metres above sea level. So within about a 20k range, just to the west of Orange. The high rainfall it sort of allows us to graze all year round. Fertile soil, we're sort of on the edge of Mount Canobolas, so we've got really nice basalt soil. The cool climate, or the climate, sort of allows yourself to run sheep all year round without too many issues, provided we don't get too much snow. And probably the town itself, Orange itself, is a beautiful part of the world. We're surrounded by some fairly vibrant sort of town. So, and I guess our proximity to Sydney, works for us as well.
Brent grew up in regional New South Wales and formed a strong connection to the land and farming sheep from a young age.
I grew up in far western New South Wales, very isolated. I was homeschooled as a kid. So food, I suppose, was fairly primitive at times, just from location. But probably my earliest memories of food were shearing time. Everyone was together, and Mum used to cook for all the shearers and all the workers, and that's probably my earliest memory of food. Mutton sandwiches, interestingly enough, is my first memory of food. So, I suppose there's a few parallels with that now, with what I'm doing now, the food and sheep. From a kid, it's sort of always been that way. As a teenager, I always wanted to be a chef. I probably sampled more than I cooked myself, but I always wanted to be a chef, and obviously always had a love for farming, and I suppose those two things combined have sort of led me to where I am now. I think those two, the love of food and the love of producing, have probably led to where we are now, yeah.
After seeing sheep grazing through the vineyard, Brent realised the potential to create a full-circle organic farming practice amongst the vines.
We always had sheep that sort of grazed through the vineyard. Vineyards have been on the farm for about 20 years, and the sheep have been used in an organic system, so they graze in the dormant times, almost as glorified lawnmowers, because we can't use any chemicals to stop the growth in and around the bottom of the vines. They sort of graze through there in the dormant times or through the winter times. And when I came here, I just saw an opportunity to use what we were able to do, probably better and just a little bit different. Fresh set of eyes probably saw an opportunity that we were missing out on, and I think, and our love of food and producing things, and seeing, it's quite rewarding seeing people enjoy what you produce, and we had that from the wine side of it. The grapes and the wine gave us that, but I just saw an opportunity there for the sheep to do the same thing, to mirror the same thing. When I first came here, there were only a handful of sheep, and now we've sort of got it up into a system that's that's working quite well. But look, we've had plenty of challenges to get to where we are now. Probably one of the funnier things was when we started the Coole Acres, the local news came out and did a story, and I got a little bit of advice from close friends and family that said my head was probably built more for radio, and that was sort of one of the funnier parts of it. Is they just said, how have we gone from a farmer to a media personality? And my close friends now call me Hollywood. So that's been an interesting part of where we're at now.
The animals live an incredible life, moving from vineyard to feed.
We rotationally graze just as part of our farming practices. So they've always got fresh, lush pasture in front of them. They graze between the vineyard, obviously in the winter time, so they get the opportunity to have that pasture as well. But they're small paddocks, a diverse diet, I suppose. And the cool climate means they don't have those long hot spells. So I'd like to think we've created an environment for them that's conducive to growing beautiful lamb.
Finding the right breed of lamb was vital in developing a viable farm.
So we have all Dorper sheep, so purebred Dorper sheep, and that's a mix that's a combination of black Persian and Dorset horn. They're a South African breed. There's no wool, so they're purely just a meat sheep. They shed their wool, or it's almost like a hair. And we sort of went down that path. They've got a very low worm burden. They're quite a hardy breed. They deal with the conditions, harsh conditions quite well, and they utilise probably poorer quality pasture very well. They're non-seasonal breeders, so we lamb twice a year. We can get 2 full joinings per year, which works really well for what we're trying to do. There's a lot of they're fantastic mothers. They've got really good milking ability, and the lambs, they have really vigorous early growth. So I suppose all those things together works well for our system. And now with how things are labour shortage wise, and it's really beneficial not having to shear and crutch and those sorts of things. We don't need the infrastructure, and we don't need that labour to get it through.
Every day is different, and as Brent explains, a farmer needs to be ready for just about anything. Every
day is different. Safe to say it starts with a travel mug of coffee and the dogs in the back. That happens no matter what. But because we rotationally graze, there's not too many days where I'm not moving sheep and checking and managing pastures. We would move sheep from paddock to paddock sort of every 3 to 5 days. So that takes up a bit of time. I think because we lamb twice a year, we're joining, scanning, landmarking, weaning, all year round essentially. And since we've started doing the value adding or selling down into Sydney, I suppose selection's become a really important part of what I'm doing. So selecting the right lamb to go is essentially, that is the key part of what I'm doing. I decide what goes. So that the weighing of the lambs, I weigh everything, I fat score everything, and I check for carcass confirmation. So I just want to make sure that the next person who gets our lamb is getting the best quality I can give them. So that's all of those things are in around fencing and pasture and, trying to improve our soil health and, sort of doesn't leave a lot of spare time.
After reaching out to a highly respected distributor via email, Brent surprisingly found a method to market.
Well, it was an email to Grant Hilliard at Feather and Bone down at Marrickville and now Waverley. I just sent Grant an email explaining, who I was and what we do, and I'd read a little bit about what Grant and Laura do and what they're all about, and that aligned very much, with what I wanted and what I was looking for. And much to my surprise, he replied. And we just got talking, and I suppose the rest is history. That's where it started. Just with Feather and Bone is where it started, and there's another guy, Locke Kerr, down at Cleaver and Co., which is down at Gwynville or near Wollongong, and we sell to him as well. He's of the same sort of values. He's no waste, nose to tail, trying to do utilise the full carcass. Wants grass fed, organic, and wants that regenerative ag sort of focus, and wants to know where his product's coming from as well. So that's sort of where it started. Feather and Bone, they also sell to, they supply chefs and restaurants around Sydney, and they obviously have they are their own butcher shop as well. So that's what they do with it. But look, we would love to be able to do more locally, and the plan is, I suppose, to have that lamb going locally, direct to customer, in Orange, in and around Orange. That's the plan. But currently, for those guys down in Sydney take it.
The organic lamb is garnering interest from chefs and butchers, but Brent's favourite experiences are a little closer to home.
Well, I think just having family and friends enjoy it. It's hard to beat people enjoying good food and good wine. We luckily we can do both. But I think during COVID, when we were locked down and we were all together, and we couldn't go anywhere, so it was amazing how food almost became everyone's language. It's what brought us together. We were together anyway, so enjoying good food was a nice circuit breaker, and that was sort of something that made me really realise that what we had was special. Seeing family and friends around, and the smiles and the appreciation for good food. I think that's probably been the most rewarding part of what we're doing.
The farm has had a huge impact on Brent and helped forge a greater connection with food and the land.
Oh, it's probably given a sense of purpose. Probably motivation I think we make a difference, I suppose. Both, that's in regard to the farming system, sustainable farming practice. I think it's that's part of it, and almost around our eating habits as well, how we educate people to care what they eat, how they eat, where it's from and how it's produced. I think that's really important, and we've seen that as a byproduct of the pandemic. I think a little bit more people are conscious of what they're consuming and the story behind it and how it's come to their plate. I think people want to know. I think that's really important. So I suppose prior to doing what I'm doing now, I probably, like most other people, didn't really understand where it came from and the story behind it. And I think that's a really important part of food production in general. I think being able to tell your story and educate people that how we eat is really important. And we support farming practices with our wallet. We can, as consumers, determine how we farm in the future with our consumer behaviour, and I think that's opened my eyes a lot to how I want to go about it.
The initiative has been as surprising as it has been exhilarating, and Brent is excited about what the future may hold.
If you had told me 6 months ago this is where I would be, I probably would have laughed. But, so it's hard to know where it will end up, and that's the exciting part, I guess. But we would like to be able to have lamb available locally in Orange. And look, we aren't trying to feed everyone. We just want those who buy it to love it. And that's my whole focus, I suppose, is just making sure that I'm doing everything possible to make sure the land is in as good a place as it can be, and the lamb itself is a byproduct of what we do on farm. So we just want to continue to work on it and make sure we are producing the best lamb we can. I love being outdoors. I love working in general, but I think I like the reward when you can see what you've achieved. Whether that be fencing, you turn around and you can see the fence behind you, or it's little things, seeing soil health improve. You see your animal health and animal quality improve, the quality of your sheep improve. It's really rewarding seeing the difference we can make to the land and to what we're producing. That's probably the best thing about what I do.
Coole Acres Organic Lamb is a wonderful example of making the most of the land by caring for it. And the result of such is creating some of the best organic lamb down under too. This is The Producers, a Deep in the Weeds production. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we share the stories of producers, farmers, makers and growers, the true lifeblood of the food industry. Follow us on Instagram at Producers Podcast, or email us at producerspodcast@deepintheweeds.com.au.